Yo, what's up, everyone, and welcome to the 28th episode of the Sad Naus cEDH podcast. What is cEDH? My name is Cian, otherwise known as Varlas, and joining me, as always, is 03 Adam, better known as Poppyphobia.
What's up, everybody?
Also joining us today is a very special guest and OG of the cEDH community, Mons from cEDH TV.
Hi, guys. Thanks for being here.
But before we get started, Adam, I think we have some triggers resolved in our upkeep.
Yes, thank you, Cian. So to start, we are very happy to announce our new sponsor. I say new, but it's like the first time we've ever been sponsored. Our sponsor, the Mana Vault. The Mana Vault is the newest LGS to hit the Milwaukee County area for all things MTG and D&D. They have a huge selection of singles as well as sealed product and hold weekly events including Draft, Modern, Pioneer, and even a cEDH League on Fridays. A cEDH League that actually all of us at Sad Naus participate in. So you can follow them on Facebook or check any of the links in the description for more information about the Mana Vault. Next, we're going to shout out all of our patrons. Thank you to Doot, Usable Object, Senator Tom, Scorish, Unorthodox Bird, MP Pfefferman, Jeff Bezos, Domino, Just Ice, Geos Justin, and our resident Chad Naus patron, Valhalla C. If you'd like to support us, you can do so at patreon.com/sadnaus, where you too can get a shout out in one of our episodes. Or if you want to be a Chad Naus, you can even be in one of our episodes. And for everyone going to Punt City 2, all of us at Sad Naus will be there in attendance. If you'd like to meet the boys, make sure you attend that event and get vrooming with us. I will be working in the casting booth, but Cian Spencer and our very own Chaos 6 champion, Kevin, will be playing. So go there, play in Punt City, beat their asses. You know, they're bad at the game and you need to.
It's not that hard. Free dubs out here.
And so if you go to Punt City 2, make sure you stop by and say hi. And with that, we're going to get into our main phase. So we have with us Mons. Mons is an idol of ours in the cEDH community. He's been around for so long, teaching all of us about combos, what is right and what is wrong in cEDH, and just giving us
lands in the correct direction.
Exactly. Don't tap them upside down or reverse. But Mons has been like very a big part of the cEDH community. And so for today, in this episode, we are asking the question, what is cEDH? And so in doing that, we want to kind of define what cEDH is, talk amongst each other, and kind of talk about what we expect out of this format, how we interpret the format, and things like that. So to start with Mons, why don't you tell us, how do you define cEDH?
So that is a very good question. Like, it's actually kind of easy to define it. All you need to say is that it's competitive EDH. And that kind of does it. And for most people, that is kind of how you say it, because we all know what EDH is. It's a multiplayer format that is supposed to be somewhat social, casual, but in competitive version, you're playing to win. However, there's probably more to that, as the question is a little bit more complex.
Yeah. When I think of that question, like how do you define cEDH, I get kind of asked this a lot, and I primarily get asked this a lot because now that I run an LGS and people are learning about cEDH and what it is, or they maybe have never seen it before, they kind of ask like, well, how do you know what cEDH is? Like if I'm sitting down with my my Angels deck, is that cEDH or what is it? And the primary.
That's a very good, like, there's an easy answer here. All you need to say is that as long as you have the mindset you're playing to win, your goal is to win, and that's the primary goal of your deck and your strategy that you're sitting down with here now in this pod, then it is cEDH. But you're making an example here of this Angel deck. To look at the competitive format in Magic, regardless of what format it is, there are usually decks and such that are better or worse. So your Angels deck could enter into a pod with a competitive mindset, trying to be, smart, trying to win, but still outside the game, as you're constructing your deck, you could have that mindset too. So it's a little bit more than just only the mindset.
Yeah. No, I when I get asked that question a lot of times, that's kind of the same answer that I give. Is it's usually like, well, what's your goal, right? If your goal is to win the game, then like, yeah, I believe that you're playing cEDH because you're playing competitively. But to a lot of people, that to them there's a different definition, right? They think of like the decks that you're playing in the meta, and it's like, well, if you're not playing Thoracle and Consult, you're not trying to win the game, and there's all these different interpretations of it. But usually that's my mindset as well. Is like, well, if you're sitting down at the table with the mindset of I'm trying to win the game, and even if I lose the game, that's okay because someone else had that same mindset where they were trying to win, and you don't get salty about it, you're not upset about it. That's usually where I would draw the line of what's competitive and what's not. Cian, do you have like any interpretation of that?
I think cEDH is a rule zero format. Like the rule is we're all sitting down to win the game and play the most competitive Magic that we can in order for us to win. And like, I don't really know. If you try to define EDH to like similar aspects that cEDH can be defined by, it doesn't really it doesn't have similar comparisons because it's not like a competitive format at all. That's why it's called competitive EDH, because in EDH, like your goal is to have fun. And that's why I think it's a rule zero format, because the goal in this format is to win the game. Kind of roundabout answer, but I agree with you guys in your definition. So
I would like to add something there. You said that, yeah, but EDH and cEDH is still the same format, kind of. You can play, for example, there's actually no real reason to have the C in front of the EDH, actually, because modern, legacy, vintage can all be played casually, but they don't put a C in front of the casual for the vintage or modern. But the reason you put a C in front of EDH is because to emphasize that this is now a cEDH game, just because EDH is so heavily on the constructed ID that it's casual. So you need to put like a emphasize that we're playing to win and no hard feeling if you lose, so to say.
That's kind of a funny way to like point that out, because you're right? Like no one's putting like, we're not playing competitive modern, we're just playing modern. But if I sit down at the kitchen table with Cian and like we're just shooting the shit playing modern, it's still modern to everybody else. But in our format, right? Like if you pull out your Anala deck versus someone who's playing like Dog Tribal, it feels like it's a different game, even though it's not, you know. And so it is cool to kind of have that distinction. And that is something that me and Cian talk about a lot, which is why I think he phrased it as a rule zero format. Because like it's the same game, but the rule zero is different, right? The rule zero of cEDH is that we're playing competitively. That's just the agreement that you made. But otherwise, you're still playing the same game as you would on, FNM when you're playing for a pack, right? It's almost no different.
Yeah. To make this question a little bit more complex though, is that when you go into more the details of what kind of cEDH is and how it should be played, people's opinion will vary, and maybe the three of us will have different opinions too. For example, politics. I have seen arguments from people saying that politics is not a cEDH thing. That's
well, here at Sad Naus, I can say confidently we are all politic masters. We mind control our opponents very thoroughly and adequately.
Does it work?
No evidence needed about this.
It's gonna add
hey.
It's like that. It's like if you've ever watched Anchorman, there's a quote that 60% of the time it works every time. It's like that's how politics works for us.
For us, it's like 30% of the time. We have a 30% success rate.
I'd say even less.
I was being generous.
Yeah, very generous. But go on, Mons. So politics is a part of that definition to some, not a part of that definition to others. What other examples do you think that?
No, what I kind of want to get out there is that I think people have lots of different opinions of how the game should be executed and how you should play, so to say. And people can disagree on that. But how I would like to phrase it sometimes is that the core structure, what cEDH is the goal to win. And combo just seems to be the easy, simple, straightforward answer, like Foracle, Consult, and done. But that's just because that is the theoretical and in practical best thing you can actually do. That's the strongest thing. But if for some reason, strangely enough, group hug would be the strongest strategy in the format, then group hug would be the metagame. But it's not.
Yes. That's a pretty interesting way to kind of evaluate that statement, right? Because like I definitely have friends in the world that we live in that have very strong opinions, right? Like if you're not playing Grixis, you're not playing to win, and anything outside of a Grixis core isn't cEDH, right? Or there's been talks on the internet about things like the objectively correct DDB, right? Where there's like six decks on it, and it's like if you're not playing these 6 decks, you're not trying to win.
I thought it was 4, and it's going to go down to 3.
It evolves, right? So like now when decks win these events, you started with like Rogsai, Blue Farm, Winota, Nagila. Now you add in like Timna, Malcolm. Now, you know, some decks they prove themselves to be worth it. But other than that, there's like a lot of these opinions that float around of like, this is what cEDH is. Like I remember a while ago, there was like a big moment in the community where like Yeva was a deck that was very, very popular in cEDH, and people
I made a video about that.
Yeah, and people were like, "Is Yeva cEDH, right? Like, is this actually a cEDH deck?" And you know, to a lot of people it was, and to a lot of people they're like, "No, this is just like every green deck." But we're right. There's like all these different opinions that float around, so it changes for every person and every individual. It's one of those reasons why I try to keep a broader definition of cEDH, because you can never have you whatever you say, the next person won't always agree with you.
Yeah.
So back to bring up politics again. I think it's becoming a hot button issue with more like 60 card players getting in the format. They're like, no, we're playing a competitive format. There should be no politics at all, like whatsoever. We're all sitting to win. You know, everybody should have you know nobody has your interest at mind to win games. Words are. But I think EDH as a format revolves around politics, and like you can be a good Magic player, but to be a good cEDH player, I think you have to incorporate both politics and like Magic skill to a degree.
Yeah, I would simplify it even more and say that the main goal of cEDH is to win. We've all said that and agreed on it, more or less. That's what you do. And in order to get to your win, I was just about to say, in love and war, everything is allowed. And if you're allowed to have if you're allowed to talk to your opponent and have politic discussion, like deals, then, and if that helps your win rate, isn't that the correct thing to do?
Yeah.
Like the goal is to win, regardless of whatever form of strategy or strange idea you come up with. Like I said before, if group hug was the best thing you could do, then we would all be doing group hug. But group hug is not the best thing.
As long as it's Grixis core, it'll be okay. No.
Well, I'm a big fan of having a group hug after each game, right? That's usually where I find group hug to be the best strategy. But no, you're right though, right? All's fair in love and war. So if politics boost your win rate, then utilize politics, right? It's competitively the best edge that you have at the table. But some people feel like, I think that the politics discussion derives from 60 card formats where you don't really get to leverage politics at all, or if you do, it's more so angle shooting.
True.
Oh, not true.
Actually,
I want to hear.
There's politics in 1v1 too. That you just don't actually see it. It's a little bit different. But I think you've all seen this example here. So do you guys know about the pen trick?
Oh yeah, I know the pen trick.
Yeah.
Do you know the pen trick?
Those of you,
no,
I do not know the pen trick. Viewers who don't know, so let's explain it anyway. So in a normal 1v1 where you have creatures that are attacking you, you usually write down the life totals of everyone with a pen and paper because that's very efficient. And sometimes they are combat tricks. So you have a creature, your opponent's going to attack you, and you have a combat trick in your hand. But the opponent is thinking about if you have that combat trick or not. So they're taking their time to evaluate and do the poker face thing. And then you pick up the pen and say, move to damage, with a very boring face like, can we just get this over with? Can you just write down damage? And they all happily attack you, feeling confident. And then you put down the pen, combat trick, and you trick them with just facial expression.
Okay, that's an interesting angle shooting tip that I'll use at my next Popper event. Thank you.
We did a podcast on this, Mons, where I'm surprised that Kian said he didn't know, because we talked about this, where we defined politics, because we have a whole thing about politics in cEDH, and when we talked about it, we kind of came to this group consensus that there's a difference between politics and angle shooting. Because angle shooting is where you're intentionally trying to maybe deceive your opponents in a way that's strictly, well, now this sounds like I'm talking about politics, see? But like where you're intentionally doing something to the detriment of your opponents, and it has no benefit to them whatsoever. Whereas like when you do politics in EDH, majority of the time you're not just straight up lying to your opponents. I mean, if you are.
Unless you're Kevin.
I mean, Kevin has lied to. Kevin has done some pretty snake stuff to me. One time, Mons, we played a
Wheel
game.
of Fortune, yoink.
Not even that. One time we played a game where he's like, hey, this.
Well, don't worry. I played a game with Kevin and Kian. I remember. I have it in recording.
Yes, he's a real cheatsy doodle, that guy. But we're like angle shooting, I feel like is more of a 1v1 thing, where like you're intentionally like deriving your opponent. Now, angle shooting exists. Do we go on? I'd love to hear it.
So it's not just in 1v1. Like what we're kind of talking about is like deception, more to say, or planting an ID. And the best way to do this in EDH is just to explain one opponent's deck. So let's say that we three are playing and someone is playing Gitrog Monster. And I'm just going to, okay, guys, have you actually played against the Gitrog Monster? Do you know how the combo works? And you might shrug, and I might sit here. And even if you actually know the deck by heart, I might say, okay, guys, just remember, we have to prevent Gitrog Monster from this, this, and this. So I'm planting a scary thought in your mind.
You're redirecting towards the Gitrog Monster.
Correct.
Which I think is more in line with the term politics than it is like, because in 60 card, the only threat you have to worry about is your opponents, and you can trick your opponents, but like, I don't know, it feels different. It feels wrong. It feels wrong to call like the pen trick politics, you know? It makes me feel dirty.
Not exactly. Like you can give intent and a feeling and a form of angle to people by just trying to not communicate and say things, but trying to emulate emotion, you could say too. For example, if you're sitting there and being very unhappy, making faces and such, you could emulate that you're stacked out for some reason, so to say, and you're not really a threat, but you're creating a timing window, even though it looks like different.
I do that all the time. That's my specialty.
That's your trick? That's your trick? You just look
That's
depressed.
my trick. I'm not doing anything. Stop. I'm not playing Blue Farm. What are you talking about? So anyways, Sad Naus?
Yeah.
See, I like to emulate emotion in games usually by making Kian cry. That's usually a good distraction method for me to pull out my wins.
No, you usually redirect the other two players to beat up me. Meanwhile, you're going to win, and I'm yelling at them that you're going to win, and they don't believe you. Believe me.
Yeah, because why would they believe you? Look at that mustache. It's, you know, it looks it looks deceitful.
Adam, you kind of have the same mustache, just saying.
Yeah, but mine is like, it has a beard to it, you know.
It has a beard, you
That's
know.
true.
Yeah.
That's true.
I have 3 of them if you count my eyebrows. So
Wait, we just complete everything because I've shaved. Wait.
oh, this is quite
We have the
evolution of facial hair here in the 3 of us. But we'll get into politics, like kind of a little deeper dive into it
a
little bit later. But before we kind of get to that state, I want to know, Mons, what do you think of the state of cEDH in this moment? Like, do you think CDH is in a healthy spot as a format, or are there things that maybe you interpret differently?
I think it's in a very healthy spot. I think it's getting better and better and better, actually. And to some people that actually think it's not, I would say it has been worse, so to say. And what we're seeing more and more, in my opinion, is that more and more commanders seems to function, so to say. And I believe that the big reason behind all of that is more printing of cards, basically. A lot of really strong established decks that are great aren't getting upgrades. They're getting options, while older decks with weaker commanders are getting upgrades, so to say. Like the printing of Dockside was a little bit too overpowered, but Undual Breach, Jeska's Will, Ragavan have helped out the red a lot. Now we just need white to get some more cool stuff. Like Smothering Tide, Esper Sentinel is amazing, Ranger Captain of Eos is amazing, but I want to see more of that. That's my hope, so to say, that that white would get some more support in that direction, so to say. They already have a lot of really great hate bears, but I think white could benefit more. And other like commanders too, with monocolor direction.
I would almost say that green needs some help, because green kind of sucks right now. Like I don't think so. When I think of like the advancements that have kind of happened to the color pie, I think that maybe white as a soul color is well, not even that, right? Because like I think black is one of the worst monocolors that you can play right now in like cEDH. But when I look at like support colors, I feel like white is getting to a point now where it's one of the best support colors in EDH, with the amount of like card advantage pieces that it's gaining. Things like Ranger Captain of Eos, like all these things are such huge upgrades to the color that it's leaving other colors that in the past used to be the best kind of behind. Because would you rather have green in your deck or white in your deck at this point? Well, right now, I would rather have white, because the tools that it offers me are much better than the creature commodities that green has to offer.
Adam, I agree with your point, but go ahead, Mons.
I will only say that I actually disagree, but I want to hear Kian first.
Okay, so I agree with both you guys. I think white should get more upgrades. But I agree with Adam that I'd rather have green over white. But in white, you only get to play like what, 8 cards, if that. If you play like it as a support color, if you're in red, white, blue, you're playing Intuition with Savines and Breach. So Intuition, Ranger Captain of Eos, Esper Sentinel, Silence, Grand Abolisher. So 5 cards, maybe Draneth. So 6 cards out of what, like hundreds of white cards that are printed that are only playable as a support color. So yeah, I think it could get some more support, but I think white just offers like so good. You want to win the game without anybody doing anything, you play white. Like it's just a hard I win the game. So but
you kind of touched it there, my opinion why I think green is better than white, but like it's a very niche discussion, short. But if you want to make a mono green deck, that is very easy. Like mono green is probably really strong right now. Mono white is struggling because yes, mono white has some really good cards, but making a lot of white cards for your deck is very hard. While with green, it's like it's already done and it's easy. The entire deck will be good because green has so many variations of cards that are actually good in this format. But yes, white has some amazing cards.
So are you evaluating how good the color pie is based on monocolored deck performance or based on how they do in a support role?
Both. Yeah,
because like I like that you brought up like the single card use, like when you look at support colors, Kian, because I think that's true for a lot of things. Like right now, a majority opinion is that one of the best colors in cEDH at this moment is the color red, because of the amount of powerful tools that it offers just in card quality itself, right? like a card like Dockside Extortionist or a card like Underworld Breach, the amount of power that those cards create in a game far outweighs like a single counterspell from blue, right? So people really highly value the color red right now. The thing is, though, is when I look at the color red, I think I can name less cards that are universally playable in decks than I can white cards, even though so many people would call red one of the most powerful colors in the format, right? So it's a weird argument to kind of bring up because, like, when I think of red, I think of Dockside, Underworld Breach, the red Elemental Blast, Deflecting Swat. But from that point on, the card quality just gets significantly worse after that, right? So I agree, though, with Mons wholeheartedly. I think cEDH is in one of the most healthiest spots it's been in a long time. When you consider like the Flash Hulk era and, you know,
I was going to bring that up.
The before times of like Tymna and Thrasios just being, you know, the best thing you could be doing, hands down, no bar. Like, I think right now the format's in a great spot. Like, I love playing cEDH right now. And the amount of like different types of decks that you can play when you go sit down at an FNM, the amount of variation that you see, it's awesome. Like, I'm like super excited because like I don't know what someone's going to bring. I mean, Mons, you were a part of it. Like, the slicer hype was real, and it's like that was such a fun moment to like look back on, even though we're still kind of.
We should probably talk about slicer. I mean, it's very on topic of what this podcast is trying to touch.
Yes, soon. we should talk about Slicer because it's awesome and it beat the shit out of Cian and Kevin.
No.
Yes, I remember. That was actually their own fault. I don't think I should have won.
I could have won.
Like, Cian and Kevin I don't know what they were doing. I sat there like, what are they
we were
doing?
shit posting IRL. So, but yeah, back on the question, I'll answer this time. I'm pretty much of the same opinion of you guys. I think cEDH is in a healthy spot right now. Despite all the Redditors and internet people, ban Torkoal, ban that. It's like, sure, they could be banned, but like, have you actually played like 2016 like before 2016 to 2018, 19 before or when Flash Hulk was a thing? Like TNT, if you didn't play TNT, actually, you just
that I kind of okay. That's a different topic.
It is a different topic.
I'm not gonna comment. Yeah, it's a different topic for the podcast. I'm not gonna comment.
Okay. And then 2017 Hulk got unbanned, and then that just threw the TNT right into the, you know, top tier. If you're not playing that, you know, you should just go, I don't know, play Yu-Gi-Oh or Pokemon. But anyways, moving on. So I want to ask a question.
Actually,
so
I wanna talk about.
Nope, you're not allowed. Moving on.
No, wait. Go ahead.
What's up?
There's something I actually want to add, and about the cEDH environment format and such. What we think about it. That I hope that despite colors, that we're moving more towards creature combat value. Because something I've seen a lot of people are asking for are bans. Like, let's ban this and this. And I've even heard an argument for 30 life instead of 40 life to decrease the value of Ad Nauseam, to make Ad Nauseam weaker, and Necropotence too. I actually disagree. I think it would be more cool to have more value gain from, for example, Ragavan. I think Ragavan is amazing and a great card for cEDH because it makes people want to go to combat.
True.
I don't know the exact word here in English for making people desire to combat, but it creates intensity.
Yeah, I think we call it mumky mode.
Mumky.
You go to combat. Mumky mode. But no, that's great. That's like I think combat should be valued more in cEDH.
That's why Najila has so much success.
Yeah, it helps a lot, right? When you can swing for 12 on multiple turns and really take your opponents off of things like Ad Nauseam and stuff like that just through combat damage. Blocking and attacking is a skill that most cEDH players lack, I would say. The importance of it. But just the
fact that interacting with someone and gaining potential value at the same time with something like a Ragavan or Tymna or Vinota is something I would like to see for the cEDH future, so to say, as a part of it. So to say.
So you want
No,
a
I
more
think
like
that's,
mid-rangey value grind, like grindy meta comparatively to like the turbo play Rog, sack it, go Ad Naus, turn 1 room.
Well, you kind of need to level it. You need to have it in the balance. If we have no this is why I actually don't want to ban some of these strong cards, because if you just remove all of them, it becomes a very like mid-ranged who can Eldrazi hardest, like who can put costs, like who can put those Void Venors into play biggest and fastest and most furious, and that could be a very because I believe combo and Oracle polices the format. It forces people to build decks according to that power level and what they can do, and that limits people from doing what like big and crazy stompy things. But it doesn't prevent people from doing that. Like, you need to figure out how you're going to implement the Eldrazi stomp if that's what you want to do.
All right,
but
this
I
makes
the
sense.
balance
Interesting.
Making everything equal.
Yeah, Mons wants Eldrazi stomp in cEDH at this moment.
No, I don't. No, I don't.
Yeah, we
I
want
really don't.
Emrakul's. We want, what are the other Titans? I don't even know the other Titans.
Kozilek, then Ulamog.
Yeah, we need some
Oh.
Kozileks, and we want Annihilator 6 in the games. No, but
I actually think it kind of looks, the way it looks now feels kind of correct. For example, Kinnan could put Void Venor into play, and that kind of exists as a small window for it to exist. But I just want it to be like level. Like, we should have combo, but not too much, because then every game is too fast. There needs to be a level. Just simple. Flash Hulk is a good example of that. That was too much, apparently.
Way too much. Void Winner is good, and like Rog Tivesh. It's like the only deck I know that and Kinnan. Rog Tivesh and Kinnan are like the only decks I know that play it pretty unironically. But there's room for it, right? There's room for it, and when it comes down, it can be effective. So like that's a really good example, I'd say. So that kind of ties into the next thing that we're kind of trying to discuss here, which is how do we want the format to evolve going into the future? So you kind of touched on it a little bit, that you'd like to see more of this combat focus, more of this resource, evaluating your opponent's resources at a specific level, that it makes all types of win conditions viable through a different subset of means. So what other ways would you like to see cEDH evolve in the future?
In general, I just think that we're getting, I don't know, I actually think that that's it, more or less, because printing of more cards, I believe, is going to continue to the pathway we're kind of on. I think we're going to get more creatures that are creating value by attacking. I think white and red and green, and we will see more individually good monocolored cards. So I think we're on a good spot. What I actually would hope to see more discussion around politics and such, and see a community like agreement or a discussion about how the game should be played. So those are my three.
That's never going to happen. Come on. You're asking for the impossible here. cEDH community agreement, dog keck.
I was gonna say,
I think it might happen.
As soon as you said like I think that's everything, I was gonna say, see, I know where I want the things to evolve. I want the players to evolve, and I want us to stop getting salty about pactive negations. I want us to stop getting salty over politics. Let's all just agree to disagree, and just accept that sometimes people can make a play. Okay. Because I think that would be I think that kind of ties into what you're saying, though, like this kind of agreement on how should a game be played, right? Like how are we playing the game? Because I know that we had this discussion on your show, cEDH TV Gameplay, where I casted a spell, and in hindsight, looking back at all the information I had, I learned some things about myself, learned some things about the spells I cast. But in the long run, we had this discussion about I want to play at what's considered a tournament level at all times. Not saying that, I'm going to treat this like a tournament and I'm going to rule shark you out of the game or something, but I'm going to play the game and make the decisions the same way I would as if I was playing in a tournament, because that's the only way that I feel like I will get better at the game, right? And a bunch of other people were like, this guy sucks. He's a party pooper.
True.
All he cares about is the wrong thing and yada, yada, yada. But it's like with the play group that I'm a part of, we have that acceptance where we feel like that's the right way to do things, or that's how you should play. And we have fun doing it. Every Friday I get drunk with Cian and play cEDH till 2 a.m. And that's how we play all the time. I mean, the amount of active negations we've cast in the last 2 weeks has been pretty substantial, right? Whether or not we could have paid for them.
I don't cast them. I just show them it. I'm like, all right, this is turn 2. Anything you do, I don't care. It's gonna get packed.
I don't think you're wrong. Actually, I think you're correct. I heard your arguments and such, and I agree. I could agree.
Clip
I don't
that.
know
Somebody
exactly if
clip
that's
that.
what I would have done myself in that situation, but I could agree.
Yeah. And so like that wider community acceptance, not saying like the community should agree with Adam. He is the correct all-seeing cEDHI, right? No. But like I would like to see more of that discussion, because I feel like people avoid it because they don't want to spark any type of discourse or controversy or whatever they want to, call it. But people would rather just like ignore it in general than address it head on, which is why I have a lot of respect for you, because you kind of addressed it head on when we recorded, and you were like, you know what, I want this to be a discussion so much I'll make a whole video on it. And it was really cool to hear like the different opinions and the things that you were saying about it, because I think that kind of stuff does matter, and most people don't, like the biggest names out there, a lot of them don't mention it because it's like a lot of people have a lot of opinions, and it's hard to voice your own when you're not sure how other people will react.
Well, I have said a lot of things that have made people hate me in the past, so I'm not afraid of it anymore. I never was, actually, when I think about it. But yeah.
Well, that's good to know. So yeah, I think that's a good way for the format. I think that's a good thing to look at with the format evolving. But what about you, Cian? Do you want the format to evolve in any way, or how would you like? Would you like everybody to be on Blue Farm?
I want Vroom go fast. If everybody should be on Rog, Sai, and Blue Farm. There's no other decks. That's it. That's what I want. No, but I think it's less from a gameplay standpoint and more from like a player and community standpoint. I want this community to evolve. I want people to like, quote, like level up as a player, or like start taking games like a little bit more seriously, or like, and I know in some like deck specific discords, whenever you present a new idea or new tech or something, people automatically shoot it down, or they say, no, this card is bad for X reason, and then you're like, no, I think this card is good for XYZ, and then they shut you down, and that's the end of the conversation. I feel like there's a little bit more room to grow for both parties, and I think that would be really beneficial for the format, and trying to transition it to maybe a solve format. I know it will never be that way, because like Mons said,
transition it to what I didn't hear. Sorry.
A solved format. I know that I know we can't do that because there's so many new cards printed, so many new cards that will be in our pool, but I would like to see an attempt at it.
An attempt at solving the format.
Yeah. So going back to what I said, just play Rock, Sai, and Blue Farm. It's already solved.
I might say something strange now, but I don't think it can be solved because, like,
I agree with you, but
but the interesting about cEDH is that it's this is where I think 60 card players gets things wrong, because it's a very different game, as it is a social game. We're allowed to more form of communication, and the multiplayer aspect. It can suddenly become a completely different game compared to putting cards into play.
Mm-hmm.
Very easily.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I agree. Because like with 60 card formats, it's literally you versus your opponent. With EDH, it's 4 people. There's going to be table talk. It's new circumstances every time. Instead of just like, is it Delver versus Mono White Initiative? Like, it's going to happen.
Yeah. I mean, the topic of this video was basically what is cEDH. And one thing that I think is very important to just mention is that it's a multiplayer free-for-all game, and the number one meta game of that universally to all multiplayer free-for-all games is that you want one of your opponents to deal with another one of your opponents. You want someone to kingmake for you. Kinda. Mm-hmm. You could be so strict and say that. So the question becomes, how do we make that happen? How do I make Cian kill Kevin? Which is what happened and why I won the slicer game that we talked about before. And that's why, Alex, like when you're saying, because I think it's so interesting, like solve the format. While we're talking, then we suddenly, when we solve the paper part of the format, then we're gonna talk about how to solve the human part of the format, where you're allowed to like communicate and make people attack each other, and you sit back and like, hey, I'm the Dr. Evil of everything.
That's an interesting point you bring up, because like when someone says solve format, like I didn't even like begin to think, oh wait, we have to solve the political aspect too, because it's a duality thing. It's gameplay and political and talking. Yeah. So it's a really good point.
Yeah, no.
Adam, do you want anything to add to this real quick?
No, I was just going to say that I really like that explanation from Mons there, because like you can solve the paper part of cEDH. Sure. Yeah. I'm sure some way down the road you can construct what is theoretically the best deck ever for cEDH, right? But the problem is you can't really solve the political aspect, like or even just the human aspect. You have to, for one, be such a master manipulator in a form of like strategy and implementation and threat assessment and all this stuff. Like you can't, no matter how many gold fishing sessions you have or deck building monologues and all this other stuff, no matter what, you can't really prepare for that aspect of the game. So that portion can't be solved, which is a really cool kind of way to look at things.
Yeah.
But before we move on, there's something that we have an opportunity to solve.
That's right.
Ian, what do you got to say to that?
Moving on to the best segment of the show, the flavor text of the week. For those of you just tuning in or don't know what the flavor text of the show is, or flavor text of the week is, I really don't want to talk, so I'm not going to say it. We're just going to move to the flavor. No, I'm joking. But yeah, if you guys don't know what it is, it's where I, Cian, try to challenge the podcast and you guys at home with a challenging flavor text from all across Magic's history. If you guys would like the chance to participate, please enter your guess in our flavor text judge channel to win a free pack. So I'll do the one on the cast first. All right. So this is not a cEDH card. So good luck, guys. But you guys ready?
Wait, we have a card that's not a cEDH card?
Yep.
Is it a Transformer card?
Damn, he got it. No, I'm trying. All right. The pits have their own form of mercy.
Can you say it again?
The pits have their own form of mercy.
Is this the Rakdos card?
Close. It's one of the two.
Oh. It's not Phyrexian Arena, right?
It's not.
Oh, that's a good guess. Why is mine?
It was a good guess.
At the guessing. Whoa. The pits have their own. What is it? The pits have their own.
Wait, is it more than one? What is it more than Rakdos color?
No, it's either or. Their pits have their own form of mercy.
The pits have their own form of mercy. Is it
red?
No.
Is it a red card? It's not. It's a black card. Black.
The pits have. Is it No Mercy? The Pauper staple?
Nope. It's a Pauper card though.
It is a Pauper card. Flashback Marauder.
That's not. Nope.
What do you mean? What do you mean?
It's uncommon.
I thought it was. No, I thought it. No, it's been printed in common before.
Yeet.
I don't think I know.
It's a Pauper card. The pits have their own form of mercy. And it's black.
My best guess was Phyrexian Arena.
That was a good guess.
Yeah.
What could it be?
Sorry, Kian, you got me. I don't know.
No more guesses, Mons?
Wait. Have I played this card at Pauper before, Kian?
Probably. It's a staple.
It's a staple. Oubliette.
Close. It is in that deck.
It's in that deck. Oh, is it? It's not one of the rats, is it?
It's not a rat. It's a spell.
Not a rat. It's a spell.
It's an enchantment. I want to guess more now.
Yeah, so you just keep narrowing it down. No, it's a kill spell. I know it's a kill spell because he raised his eyebrows when he saw Oubliette.
Adam, you're applying some of those deception skills.
Yes,
here.
my politics skills here to determine this Pauper
politics
card.
skills are kicking in.
Do you play any Pauper Mons or no?
Used to long time ago, but no, not much.
What's the spell? It kills stuff that's not black. Is that common? Yeah. What's that spell? Destroy target non-black creature.
Not Doomblade.
That's not Doomblade. There's a different one. You got me. What is it?
All right, Trainer's Edict.
Oh, I would have never guessed Trainer's Edict. I never would have guessed that.
That probably should have been one for the
yeah, I don't know why you
audience.
I don't know why you picked that card.
Because I wanted to stump you. All the guests, and you have been getting it. I needed to get a victory once again. Sorry, Mons, you have to be a part of this.
Sacrifice.
It has that flavor text. Nice. That's a good card, though. You can actually play this in... I guess you could play this in cEDHs, but this is like...
if it said each opponent, then I think it would maybe be playable in mono black. Maybe. I don't know. All right. So for the one for the audience, all right, an emblem of a secret guild. The Dimir insignia is seen only by its own members and the doomed. An emblem of a secret guild. The Dimir insignia is seen only by its own members and the doomed. So this should be an easy one for you guys.
Sounds like a Ravnica card.
Perhaps.
No hints, Mons. The people at home.
Sorry.
But nice work, Ian. You cheated and you stumped us by using a non-cEDH card. I hope you're happy with your
I'm ecstatic.
Skills. Yeah, of course. So now for the moment that Mons has been waiting for, we have the ultimate topic question here. How do we want politics to be executed in the future, if we want them executed at all? So, lay out all your opinions right here on the table on politics, Mons.
So first of all, I've actually heard an argument that we shouldn't have politics at all in cEDH, and I think it's very hard to rule out talking, so to say.
As much as people
I have
wish
actually
they
been,
could.
I actually think there's people who like to ban. I actually think removing communication completely in cEDH would be kind of interesting, but also very weird. So that's a strange rabbit hole to go down to. I have actually been a high suggester of a chess clock for cEDH.
I can get behind that.
First of all, it's very hard to implement, so I have actually no idea how you would do that. But if it was implementable, I think it would be kind of cool, because we're already on the time limit for tournaments. And if you want to sit there and communicate and debate, that should be taking to your time on your political stuff. But first of all, I think if you're going to do any form of politics, you have to accept when people don't want to do it with you, because everyone hates everyone hates the person that is just sitting there and trying to say the same thing over and over again until someone's actually agreeing with you, which could actually never happen. And that is just being annoying. So I really hope that good sportsmanship is the number one thing to take away from this. If someone actually don't agree with what your argument or whatever you want to happen, then let it go. See, and if that's the case, lose the game.
Yeah, see, Kian,
it's better to lose the game than lose face.
Yeah, you would learn a lot from this, Kian, because you are the epitome of the annoying guy. at the cEDH table. You're always like, it's not me. I don't have Underworld Breach in my hand. I can't win the game. And then everybody's like, no, we get probed you. We saw it. You were like, that was him. That was him. You know? So,
and then you still lose.
It's fine. It's fine though, because I do think that like chess clock is something I've heard a lot that people want to implement into games. You're right though. It's virtually impossible unless you're on like Moto to enforce chess clock at all. And even then, what's an appropriate amount of time for a cEDH game, you know, to implement
that's
it?
easy. I mean, the time is very easy to set, like how much people time they should have. That's not hard.
I want at
The
least
hard
2
part is
hours.
Well, then that's even easier. Then
Get out of
everyone
here.
gets 30 minutes.
Oh no, I mean 2 hours for myself.
No.
Yeah, that's how long it takes to make game actions. Not gonna lie.
Well, like think about it like this, Mons.
No,
if there's a
Adam,
slice-
it's
if there's
not
a
even
slicer
that.
player in play, you need at least 30 minutes to discuss with your, you know, podcast partner how you're going to lose to the slicer, and that's, you know, you need time.
And that should be taken to your time account. I actually think if you want to sit there and communicate forever, that should take to your time. Like,
Should be penalized for it.
What I think, if we're like to discussion to how politics should be executed, you should say your statement, what you want people to do, your IDs, and your threat assessment beliefs, and communicate a strategy with someone else. But it should be like to the point, not sit and drag out the game, so to say.
So you're saying like if we're playing against the Get Rug player like we were earlier, I should not be reading to the table the entire Get Rug primer while trying to make the match go to time so that we get the draw. Because
No,
that's
you
like,
shouldn't do that.
to me, that's like good politics, right? Is I'm going to read to the entire 78-page Get Rug primer, because I think that'll
I'm not against someone educating people on how a combo works. For example, if you were playing Gitrog and I will sit and explain to another person, but I think you should do it like efficiently. Reading the entire primer word by word, don't do that.
That makes more
that's
sense.
just going to consume time.
Yeah.
Because there's something to actually talk about here. And that's sorry. What's the word? When you consume time and judges say
Slow play?
game action. Slow play. Thank you. Slow play. Like politics could be considered slow play if you're sitting there and durdling words.
Could, and I don't think it's defined by like the Magic rules. Maybe by the cEDH like tournament rules it is, but definitely not by like a regular Magic or like regular EDH rules. So I guess we're all making slow plays when we're big braining and telling.
I don't think we're making slow plays. Like communicating and strategizing game actions in a collective team is not like slow play, but you could sit there and just talk forever without getting anywhere. In theory, I don't think like I've seen that like happening, so to say. So it shouldn't be a big deal. But my big hope is that just good sportsmanship should be the way to carry on with politics.
I agree with that.
Cian, you're so shit at the game. If you just listen to me, we wouldn't lose.
Exactly like that.
Because that's like what our politics sometimes gets into at the table. Like Devin won't be like, "This is why you lose all the time."
The difference is that you guys know each other.
Yeah, I was about to say that.
Yeah.
I don't know. Some people, I've seen that at like tables. You know, I've played a lot of cEDH at a lot of events, and I've seen it where someone's, you know, thinks it's appropriate to be like, "This is why everybody else sucks, and I'm so good." Because if you guys would have listened to me, we wouldn't have lost the game, you know, stuff like that.
I think that's a very good way to make people try attack you in with cards.
Well, they usually wait till after the game, right? Till after they lose, and they're like,
That's true.
"See, I told you so. This is why you suck at the game." And it's like,
But
shut
that's
up,
just
dude.
being salty. That isn't politics. That's just after game saltiness.
It could be politics.
Which is all.
It could be politics, though.
It could be. Like, true. Like next.
I don't know.
game.
I don't know
Next
how
game.
it would be like effective, but
Could
But
be
what
an
do you guys
option.
think? How do you think politics should be executed?
I love politics, man. I think it's awesome. I think that
Same.
it's one of my favorite parts of the game for two reasons. One, because it's embarrassing when you get politics wrong. And I think that's hilarious. I think when you politic your way into a loss, I think that's the funniest. I do that stuff all the time where like
Good.
I spend all this time talking, trying to convince, and then like I just like accidentally handed the game to someone. You know what I mean? Like stuff like that. Like that's
I know what you mean.
yeah, that's such a fun aspect of the game.
I've actually heard arguments from people who are against politics that politics king make, which I actually find kind of hard to understand how that's possible.
I don't think it can. I mean, sometimes it can. If you divert all your threat assessment to one player and you don't perceive another player as the threat, the entire table expends all their resources to stop one person and then the next guy wins. Sure, you could maybe make an argument that politics kings makes. I think primarily the only person you're trying to king make when you politic is yourself. You're trying to put yourself in a better position to win. But I think it adds so much dynamic to the game and it forces the table to communicate at some sort of level. So I think my favorite part of politics is it takes a now I'll get chastised for saying this, but it takes a historically antisocial group of players, those being Magic players, and it forces them to communicate with each other, which I think is great for the game overall. I think that one of the best parts about cEDH is when a table discussion starts and everybody has to come together and have a conversation about the game actions that are being taken. And I think that that's awesome. I think that's so cool when like you sit down at a tournament and people that you would never talk to in your day-to-day life, you have a whole hour and a half long game where you're talking with each other throughout and you have a newfound respect for people. I think that's one of the best parts about politics and why like I don't necessarily agree with the idea of like cEDH should just be played in silence by putting your spells on the stack and seeing what resolves. It's like, okay, thanks, buddy, but that's not what
I actually think my win rate would go to the roof if that was the case.
You know who's
because I'm really good at the silent politics that people don't see and think exists.
I want to know what.
But I actually want to say something. I absolutely 100% agree, and I really like the point you actually put out there. Like, and yes, I do agree with you. Sadly, that cEDH players, or well, Magic players in general, aren't the social, outgoing, and community people. And I think this is a very good game that creates that very safe place where we can talk about a shared hobby that we love: Magic cards,
yeah,
and
absolutely,
dragons. But yeah, I think the game promotes communication. I think that's really good. I really like that you made that comment and point.
Yeah, I wonder what Pontus's win rate would be if everybody just went silent. Like if nobody said anything, how would Pontus start doing in games?
I think he's gonna say it would be very good, but I actually think his win rate would be very bad.
Yeah, we think Pontus is.
But I think he would. I think he would think his win rate would be good, and I would love to have this conversation with him afterwards. Like I just know he's gonna watch this video, and I know he's gonna see this, and I know he's gonna write to me. And feel free, Pontus. I'm ready for the chat.
You know whose win rate I know would go down? It would go so far down because we would remove politics. Would be Scipio, because Scipio like relies on communication in games. Like, what the fuck are you doing, bro? You can't. Like
Intimidation only.
Yes.
Really? Come on.
Yeah, come on, bro. Come on,
bro.
Skippy. But how about you, Cian? Like, what do you think about politics? I know you've got some firm, strong beliefs on the subject.
Well, you guys already touched on like a lot of points that I like want to bring up. I think the Mons point, you brought up a good point. I think we, they should be executed with good sportsmanship. Like whenever you play competitive, like football, volleyball, insert, ball sport here. Sports ball, yeah. Insert sports ball sport here, right? They're as soon as you sit down or like you get ready for a game, like there's a level of like sportsmanship that you have to put forward. And I think that we should put that into like communication. But to Adam's point, a lot of Magic players don't have good communication, and becomes very difficult sometimes to like navigate through that. But I think that good sportsmanship would be like help politics evolve as we continue playing cEDH. So Yeah, that's all I got. Politics bad though. Adam
causes us to lose games.
actively causes me to lose the game multiple times, but yeah, regardless, it's a facet of the game.
Deal with it. It's not
Sorry,
going
60
anywhere.
card players. It's part of the game. If you don't like it, get out. Thanks.
Whoa, wait.
No one listen. Nobody listens to our podcast anyway, bro. Come on.
Don't say that.
All right. Well,
We're a fake podcast, remember?
Yeah, it's
No.
all a ruse for
No.
eminent shilling. No.
Mons is like, why did I come on this podcast?
You knew Mons knew what he was gonna get to after this Slicer video.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Oh.
What do you guys think of Slicer? Like,
We're bringing up Slicer. All right,
I
I'm gonna
love
go
that.
first.
Of course.
Yeah, go.
All right, so I think Slicer. I know Mons, you've had some opinions on it. I know we talked after the game. I don't know if you've changed your opinions, but I think Slicer's like. I think Slicer's
I stay with my opinions.
Stay with your opinions. Okay, I think the meta right now is definitely ad naus centric, and I think Slicer applies a good clock to it, like a good clock. But I think it's like once people start figuring out how to play against Slicer, I think it just becomes another like mono deck. Like yes, it took like Silicon Dynasty by storm, but that's because half the competition was like, "What is this card? It just hits me for 6 every turn." Like, it's a good political tool, but is it a good deck that wins the game? Maybe. Probably not. That's my opinion on Slicer. It dies to Blue Blast. That's all I got to say.
I think that Slicer punishes bad players. And I think that what Slicer has done is I think that it's exposed a lot of bad players, because when you play against a deck like Slicer, it's very kind of once you play against it once, it's very easy to denote what the deck is trying to do. It's very easy to try to play around that strategy. I think when we talked about attacking and blocking and the significance of it to most players at a table, what Slicer does is it punishes you for not knowing how to utilize that skill, specifically the skill of blocking and implementing, creature removal and your timing and your windows. It punishes you for just relying on everyone else at the table, blowing their interaction, and then you winning the game when there's an opportunity. What Slicer does is it closes those windows, makes them tighter, and forces you to be a more active player at the table. And I think it just punishes a lot of bad habits. And I think it's great right now for our format because it's exposing a lot of bullshit that's kind of existed, right? Like people have been getting away with too much for too long. Slicer really puts pressure on your life total, makes that resource far less applicable. It's a more finite resource, and it really kind of makes you have to approach the game from a different perspective. So I think it's very healthy for the format.
Your life total with Slicer out is 21 now.
Yeah. I think that it's a do I think that it's a S tier here to stay deck? I don't know. I think it holds a candle to Godo. I like it being like the other mono red option, but I don't think it's like, I think it's just as broken as like Godo is for like a combat damage deck. Like, do people refer to Godo as the best deck to ever walk the earth? No, but a lot of people enjoy it and enjoy playing it. And I definitely enjoy playing Slicer.
It's fun to play Slicer, actually.
Yeah.
I'm going to say something, and I'm going to explain it later, but I would like to hear your reaction to when I say it.
Okay.
I consider Slicer a group hug king-making commander. Have any thoughts on that statement?
I can see the logic in it.
Okay.
Group hug king-making commander.
Yeah, I still think it's good. I actually like Slicer. I think it's I like that it's being printed and like that people play it. But this is my statement so far. I will go for it.
I agree with you. You know why?
Ooh,
because I think Slicer sits in the same vein as a deck like Jessica Ishai. And I think Jessica Ishai...
I consider Jessica Ishai a king-making group hug commander too, by the way.
Jessica Ishai is a very king-makey deck. As someone who played the deck for almost a year, I think that
Yeah.
that deck is like the perfect deck if you want to learn, if you want to play a deck and learn who you should kill next time. That's what Jessica Isha is about, because you're going to lose to
Yeah.
the people you don't kill.
Yeah. The big problem with those decks is that you can strategize against them and counterplay in a very efficient way. What you basically need to do is appear as the weakest threat, this one that can't do anything, and just hold your spot removal and wait until Slicer or Isha creates a 1v1 where you will win, basically. Which is not that impossible.
No, you just said the first step is you can't play Blue Farm because they're going to kill you first every time. And then the second step is appear non-threatening.
Yeah.
Because every game I've played with Kian, even at locals, even if he's doing nothing, the Slicer player, Kian's dead. He's not surviving nothing.
Doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
Actually, this is fun. I want to mention something because me and Pontus is furious about this. I just imagine how much he's going to comment on this video, by the way. But Pontus is like cursed, being constantly interacted with. I think he's going to be so happy I'm pointing this out. For no reason at all. I've seen people mana drain an Arcane Signet from him.
That's a good play.
Yeah.
That's a good play.
No.
What the fuck?
He's like, he's like cursed by being interacted with to an absurd level. Of like people view him like the most dangerous threat.
Well, it's because you made the video.
I get away with everything.
It's because you made the video. Why does Pontus always win? And now people, he's on the radar. You know, you can't let Pontus get away with anything.
This happened before that video.
Well, then we're getting into it.
But I'm getting away with everything.
Well, that's just because you're so. I mean, just look at you. I mean, I can't say no to that face. So exactly, yeah. Oh man. So I want to know then what kind of where do you see cEDH and where do you think that it should be played? Like, do you like Comp REL? Do you like a relaxed, like friends vibe? Like what kind of, like, how do you play cEDH?
I play it very energetic in a relaxed local game store. That's how I kind of want to
Very loose. You like to play it very loose.
Yeah, very loose. Yeah.
What about you, Kian? You seem like a loose guy.
Once in a while. No, but I like to say that I play at Comp REL, but I really don't until I'm playing at Comp REL. I think it's somewhere between LGS and Comp REL, so somewhere in between there. Got the ham for the sandwich.
I'm just so good at the game. I'm Comp REL all the time.
Yeah, I've been playing Comp REL the whole time too, but
I've been into Gila main my whole life. I don't know what you're talking about. But yeah, I like to uphold Comp REL standards. Like for the most part, I'm not gonna rule shark you or be like, you fucking no takesy backsies 100% of the time. But like for myself, I hold myself to like what I would consider like a higher standard of play because I think it's a good habit to get into. I think there's this big connotation of like cEDH players are bad at Magic, right? Is like this like quote you hear all the time, or like EDH players are bad at Magic. Yeah. So I try to like hold myself to a standard where I'm not letting myself have the opportunity to be a bad Magic player, if that makes sense. Like live with the decisions that you make. If you put a spell on the stack, it's on the stack, that kind of stuff. But every once in a while, I'll beg for a take backseat,
No, you don't get those.
I have a relaxed approach to it in general.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
But I can see that point too.
Adam likes to play at Comp REL, so he gets his tournament time in before he has to go 0-3 at the next tournament.
I can't even go 0-3 anymore. No. I don't have the opportunity to play.
Yeah, which is good. That's how you set it up. Instead of getting memed on constantly, you're like, wait, what if I just cast instead? I don't have to drop events.
Yeah, no one has to know that I'm actually bad at the game. If I
don't worry, we know.
Instead, I'll just continue to embarrass myself on streams and YouTube videos.
No.
Listen, Mons, nobody gets to know that how bad I actually am at cEDH because they didn't get to see me play the game past turn 3. I just cast a Pact of Negation, lose the game, and now everybody thinks I uphold some type of tournament standard when in actuality I'm just bad. And with that, I think we're probably going to end up wrapping it up here. So we want to say thank you, Mons, for coming on the show.
Yeah, thanks for
We
coming.
really appreciate it.
Thanks for the invite.
We've only just connected recently, but we really enjoy like everything that you've done with us and done for the cEDH community. So thank you so much for that.
Thank you.
You're a huge,
Likewise.
yeah, you're a huge part of the community here, and we want to make that known. And if for any reason someone watching this podcast doesn't know about cEDH TV, you are missing out. I play your videos at my store, Mons, and all the time people walk in and they're like, "Oh, I love this guy," and I'm like, "Yeah, everybody does.
Everybody does. Who doesn't?"
Yeah. So yeah,
I don't know. There might be some.
So we just wanted to
Maybe.
thank you for that. So then also we want to thank all of our patrons that help make this show possible. So thank you to Doot, Usable Object, Senator Tom, Scorish, Unorthodox Bird, MP Pfefferman, Jeff Bezos, Domino, Just Ice, Geos Justin, and our Chad Naus patron. Mons, you seem to like that, the Chad Naus moniker. Valhalla.
I love
C.
that. That sounds so good. Shad
nauseum.
If you'd like to support us, you can do so as well at patreon.com/sadnaus, where you too can get a shout out and even appear on one of our episodes. And for those of you who haven't already joined our Discord, you see that? Kean's cracking his knuckles.
I'm
He's
done.
hitting his hand. We're done playing.
I
around.
shaved the beard, dude. It means business. Get in the fucking Discord. I'm done.
It's business time, okay? You want to interact with your fellow Sad Nausers? I don't know. We're not going to call our subscribers
Sad Nausers.
silly
What?
name. Yeah. You want more community-driven content, okay? Do you want to talk with different people we've had on the show? I don't know what you want to do in there. Do you want to argue about hamster and dumb things like the 99th card in your deck? Then get in the Discord where there's a bunch of other people who care about minuscule niche hobbies like you and us. So join our Discord. You can be a part of our community. I just opened up a game store. If you're in Milwaukee, we talk about the game store and do all that kind of stuff in the Discord. We do meetups. We play games online on the internet. I don't know. We play One Piece every once in a while.
True.
Yeah, it's
a game.
Oh, One Piece.
One Piece TCG. It's the new hotness.
You don't know about the One Piece TCG, Mons? Oh,
I forgot that every anime has a card game.
Yes,
Yep.
but this one's good. Mons.
This one's the good TCG though.
Yes.
Yeah. I've been a
If you say so.
kid main this whole time, dude.
I know, right? This whole time. So join our Discord. Otherwise, I'm sending Kian to your house with that dirty mustache, and he's gonna beat your ass.
You're gonna get vroomed down.
Yeah, I don't even know what that means.
Don't worry about it.
And then finally, whether you're listening on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or anywhere else that you can listen to podcasts, I don't know, Joe Rogan's Closet, wherever podcasts are, you can, leave a like, subscribe, drop us a comment, even a review, and share us with your friends. That's the most important thing. If you got friends that like this format, that enjoy cEDH, share us with your friends because it really helps us with growing the channel and gives us the ability to work with new people like Mons. Look, we went all the way to Europe. How did we get there? We don't know, but we touched down in Europe and recorded a podcast.
There might be a cable connecting something.
A cup there's a cup with a straw all the way out there. And that's how we did this.
We're playing telephone.
Yeah. But that kind of stuff will help us a ton. And with that, we're going to end the episode here. So
I have one more thing to mention that.
Yes.
If you like this video, don't forget to leave a thumbs up and also share a good comment about how much you liked it. Because as a content creator myself, I really enjoy when I get to read awesome, happy comments.
Only happy comments.
I'm sure these guys too.
Yeah, only happy comments. Do not leave any negative, bad.
No.
Don't say
do that
politics doesn't belong in cEDH. No Pact of Negation without 2 blue mana. A Dark Ritual won't even help this guy. None of that. Okay. Only positive comments. And with that, we're going to end the episode here. So you guys have a great week, and we will see you on the next one.